Scripture says all things that are hidden shall be revealed, and those things done in secret shall be exposed on the mountaintop.
Let's go, Rich. Let's go.
You watching Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. The propaganda grammar, don't believe none of it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing. Telehouse Publishing, breaking news coverage. Give you the truth before fake news throw mud in it. Before the jury decide and the judge discover it. You should tune in to Telehouse Publishing.
Negroes have listened to the trickery and the lies and the false promises of the white man now for too long. And they're fed up. They become disenchanted. They become disillusioned. They become dissatisfied. And all of this has built up frustrations in the black community that makes the black community throughout America today more explosive than all of the atomic bombs the Russians can ever invent.
After 5 law enforcement officers were shot, 3 police officers were killed, 2 deputies being treated for their wounds. The suspect has also died. We have Caitlin Smith, who is live right now at the Northern York County Regional Police Department. She is following a memorial that is there outside the department and people who have come to pay their respects. We also have some breaking news with new information that we have just learned about what happened before the shooting happened at the house yesterday. Let's get to that information now. Newsday got the court documents that show that police were called to the home on Har Road on North Codorus Township late Tuesday night. This is a live look at that home right now. A woman who lives there told police that a man wearing camo and with an AR-15 style rifle slung over his shoulder was peering into her windows using binoculars. That man, who is identified in the documents as Matthew Ruth, is the ex-boyfriend of the woman's daughter. The daughter told police that she thinks that Ruth set her truck on fire at the house in August. She told police that Ruth was never invited to the home. Police went to that home around midnight on Tuesday to look for Ruth in response to this call. The documents say they found his truck parked near the woods, but say after looking for him for hours, they did not find him. State police have not identified Matthew Ruth as the shooter, but at a news conference yesterday, they said officers went back to the house yesterday afternoon to continue their investigation. We know from state police that at that time, the 5 law enforcement officers were shot. CNN is reporting they were ambushed by someone hiding in a nearby cornfield, and that one of the sheriff's deputies shot and killed the shooter. We continue our coverage here with Caitlin Smith live at the police department.
Yeah, we're here at the Northern York County Regional Police Department in Manchester Township because it was 3 of these officers who were shot and killed during this. And people have been coming out this morning to pay their respects. There's a growing memorial here. We can show you some video of it. One sign says "End of Watch, RIP." There are also flags involved. And Trisha Davenport, who lives nearby, also stopped by this morning.
These are my police officers. I don't know them personally, but they serve and protect all of us around here. So my heart goes out to all of them.
So Trisha Davenport tells us that she works in the WellSpan Health system, not at the hospital where those 2 sheriff's deputies are listed in critical but stable condition. She works at Philhaven, but because she's still part of the WellSpan system, she says that she did get an alert during this situation. And she says the reason for that alert, it's part of an upgraded security protocol that the hospital now has following the death of West York Borough officer Andrew Duarte in February. And again, many people have been coming out here this morning to put down flowers. We now have roses and flags added to this. And as we've been standing here in just the last couple of minutes, people are still coming and going. And I'm sure this won't be the only memorial to those fallen heroes.
All right. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. All praises due to the Most High. And as I mentioned in the first video concerning this incident, I had no proof that the shooter of these police was a white guy, but I also have no doubt. And as you heard from the newscaster, this man 24-year-old Michael James Ruth is the individual that killed 3 officers and critically injured 2 officers who are which at the time right now still fighting for their life. Now, here's a couple of other pictures of the assailant, the violent criminal, the thug, the monster, the depraved individual, the decrepit individuals. You know, these are all terms that they use when it's, you know, black people committing crimes. But this happened once again yesterday, earlier in the day, about 2 o'clock. Now, they are saying that Tuesday night is when that man showed up to their house unwarranted, and he was peering through the windows. He was caught on a trail camera peering through the windows with binoculars through, you know, this lady's house. Now, it's according to the court documents that he briefly dated. They had a fling, one night stand. They had a roll in the sack, what it looks like to me, as they say, with the lady's daughter who's on the house. And maybe she tried to break it off, whatever the case may be. He was showing up there. And that night before all of this took place, he was peering in the windows with binoculars. At that point, the mother called the police at about 11:13. They called the police. Police comes out there. They don't find him, but they do find his truck. I think they said it was a black Ford Ranger parked along the wood line, along the tree line. And so they didn't find him. They searched for him, but they didn't find him. So the next day, they come out, and according to this information, they came out to serve a warrant. Now, the police had a warrant for Ruth for stalking, loitering, and prowling at night, and also criminal trespass. So they had 4 warrants for the man who they were going back out to the house in which he worked trespassed at. Now, I don't know why they would go looking for him there if that was not his home of residence. Now, according to this information that I received, he is a resident of Hanover, Pennsylvania. So my question is, if he was living in Hanover, Pennsylvania, why were they going to this location to locate him? Maybe, you know, somebody at the house spotted him in the woods or something and maybe called law enforcement and told them that he was there. But nevertheless, it came out last night from the video I released earlier that when the officers were out in the farmhouse looking for him, they were ambushed. They were ambushed by, once again, this is the individual. Let's look at him. Matthew James Ruth, right there. That is the individuals that ambushed him. But if you notice in the article or the news video that you just saw, they still said, well, police are not identifying Ruth as the shooter. Now, I got this information elsewhere from the video that you just saw. But even in that video, they say, okay, Ruth was stalking the lady, Ruth, and they actually said that the girl thought he had burned up her car in August last month. So he did that. They have him on camera with the AR-15. They have him peering in their house the night before, and they have his truck right there. And then after the officers get shot looking for him, they're still going to say, well, police are not saying that he was the shooter. I mean, why? But later they have identified him through several sources that he was the shooter. They're saying that police, fired back at him, and then, he lost his life in the crossfire. But this is once again a evidence of, this violence that is perpetrated by white men in America, and it's not readily acknowledged. It's not readily plastered over the news. You even see in this article, I had to find those pictures elsewhere. Not on that news station, not on the national news, not on the New York Post, not on CNN.com. I had to find that from an independent source to get those pictures out. And so fortunately, those pictures are out. So now we know what I all expected, and what, you know, many of you expected, that this was a white man. And, you know, because once again, the racial demographic of the area, I think, is once again 98.3% white and 0.08% black. And shout out to Trisha Davenport. I think I would just assume she's a white lady, but she had the Tekashi 6ix9ine braids. So she must, you know, she might got the flavor out there. You know, she might be the flavor for a white girl. Nevertheless, this is a once again phenomenon that we have seen. I have gotten several stories of, you know, white people shooting police. And so, you know, some of them I haven't even had a chance to release yet, but this is an outgoing phenomenon. And hopefully we as black people don't get blamed for this. Now, you know, people watch these videos and some people in the comments are even said, okay, well, what's for dinner? Why do they say that? Because we have seen so many stories of police taking the lives of others, and that same sympathy, that same regret, that same remorse, or that grief is not reciprocated. And so once again, let me reiterate, I do not celebrate the death of anyone. You know, I hope everybody lives long and lives strong and prospers. However, when there's a certain demographics whose death is not taken as serious as another group's death, then that is when, you know, we have to make these comparisons and point these things out. But, you know, as we have said, you know, this is another example of white on white violence, or white on blue violence, whatever you want to categorize it as. But, you know, this definitely is a testament once again to the climate of hate, to the climate of violence that America was built on. America was built on this type of violence. So as a man sow it, or as a nation sow it, so shall they reap. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number 919-587-7782. Thank y'all for watching, liking, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, peace and blessings.